People often say that wasting time is wasting life, but time is the one thing Henry Morgan has in abundance. 200 years ago, Henry gained the ability to live forever. He was 35 then, working as a doctor on a slave ship. When he refused the captain's order to throw diseased slaves overboard, the captain shot him dead and threw his body into the sea. But a miracle occurred. Not only did Henry survive, he gained immortality, his appearance frozen at that moment in time. After more than 200 years, he's had enough of living and desperately wants to die. To understand death, one must be close to death, so he became a medical examiner. Today, a serious accident occurred in the city's subway system. The police suspect the driver was drunk, causing a collision between two trains. Detective Joe Martinez asks Henry to perform the autopsy quickly so they can close the case. But Henry gives her an answer she doesn't want to hear. The victim has pulmonary edema, meaning the driver died from poisoning. Identifying the specific poison will require further toxicological analysis, estimated to take 3 weeks. Joe's mood becomes complicated. What should have been a simple case has suddenly become troublesome. At that moment, someone calls Henry. After the conversation, his face turns pale. It turns out Henry was also on the subway. The caller seems to be testing whether Henry can resurrect and deliberately cause this disaster. Henry wants to quickly identify this person. The poison in the driver is currently the only clue. Henry collects a blood sample from the victim and injects it into himself. Through this death, Henry confirms the driver was poisoned with aconite, known as the Queen of Poisons. It's highly toxic and fast-acting, able to enter the bloodstream through skin contact. It causes extreme stomach pain in victims, with other symptoms including pulmonary blistering and facial numbness. Henry's original plan was to use the poison's onset time to work backward and determine when the driver was poisoned. But then Joe arrives with officers to arrest him. She had just reviewed the subway surveillance footage and discovered Henry was on the train. The suspicion against Henry skyrockets. However, Henry explains the situation with a single statement. He was the one who discovered the driver had been poisoned. If he were the poisoner, he could have simply declared it a natural death. Without sufficient evidence, Joe can only watch Henry leave the interrogation room. Back in the medical examiner's office, Henry Ray Minus examines the body. He finds the injection mark left by the aconite and, most importantly, discovers a complete fingerprint. The print belongs to a man named Hans. Since Hans can't be officially listed as a suspect, Joe can only secretly take Henry to the suspect's home. They discover a greenhouse growing aconite plants and equipment for extracting the poison. This practically confirms Hans is the poisoner. Just as Joe is about to leave with Henry to call for backup, Hans' unexpectedly returns home. Their cover blown and Hans escapes. According to the police investigation, Hans is a chemist at a chemical company. 3 years ago, his wife was accidentally killed by the current subway driver at a station. Hans has harbored resentment ever since. Although the case is solved, the worry on Henry's face only deepens. Hans's motive is completely different from what he expected. He had thought the subway accident was targeted at him, a test to see if he truly couldn't die. But now it seems he was wrong.